And we're on the air. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever the case may be, in whatever part of this beautiful world we live in. I am here. I am your host, Mike S. Miller. This is the Aloha Hour with Edwin Boyette. Edwin.
Aloha. Good to be here.
Good to be here with you, brother. And so, yeah, we just got done with a little a Comicsgate powwow. How do you think that went, Edwin?
You know, it was beautiful having that Nasser kid on and being able to give him a bump and let people see his book. So that was cool because that's a neat looking book.
Yeah, I'm not a huge horror guy. I mean, I'm doing a vampire comic, but it's a superhero comic with vampires as bad guys. I kind of gave up on horror after The Ring. Did you ever see The Ring?
Yeah,
that movie just creeped me out so much that I was like,
that movement.
I'm just done with this genre. So I haven't been into horror then.
I don't like to have a whole lot of. I don't like to put a whole lot of
creepy crawlies in your head.
Super dark stuff in my melon, yeah. Because I'm primarily a reader.
Yeah,
I'm primarily a reader. Right. My mom was a children's librarian. My father was military intelligence, and our TV broke, and we didn't get a new one for 3 years. Not because we couldn't afford one, just nobody cared.
Not my family. That's. I mean, I would just sit in front of the TV and watch TV and draw all day for like years on end, all day, every day. I mean, it's what I did. You know, I love drawing, and it's the kind of the same thing I do now when I'm like streaming videos and stuff. It's like draw, look up if something important's happening, draw, right? And so, yeah, I've seen everything. You know, it was before cable, and we didn't even get cable when cable came out. So it was, it was on PBS. You had like Dave Allen at Large, Blackadder, Monty Python.
I used to love Doctor Who. Now,
Doctor Who.
Yeah. This was before it got all weird and fruity and SJW. So I would run home, and I would usually from school, I would save, I'd try and save like 15 cents from my lunch money. I would run into the little Piggly Wiggly, right? That was the grocery store. I'd run in and get like these little packets of jelly beans because the doctor I like ate jelly babies. I don't know what the heck a jelly baby was, but I could get jelly beans. And then I would run home and fiddle with my antenna so I could pull in PBS. I think it was Channel 4 way back then where we lived.
And it was the Tom Baker one, right?
Yeah.
He's the best, man. He's still the best. Yeah. Still the best. But he made an appearance. I don't know if you watched the newer ones, but he made an appearance.
He was like the librarian, right?
He was the not the librarian, the museum curator.
Yeah.
And it was so awesome. I was like, stop it. I like that total kid nerd spasm.
Like, we don't watch a lot of TV, but we did used to watch a show called Little Britain. Did you ever catch that?
Little Britain, no.
It's this really whacked out British comedy sketch show, kind of like a British, like, Mad TV isn't quite the right description for it. But there was this one sketch, called I'm the Only Gay in the Village, where the guy wasn't he wasn't really gay, but he wasn't really gay, but he liked being having the prestige of being the only gay in the village. And then it probably, this was only made less than 10 years ago. It couldn't be made again because it
was more than 10 years ago.
They make fun of, well, they lightly bring in some humor. They have some transgendered women, but they still have their mustaches and stuff.
But I believe
back when you could still freely make fun of transgenders.
But all right, so how does this tie in? Tom Baker is the narrator for the series.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't the narrator. He was. So this episode
for Little Britain. For Little Britain.
Oh, you're saying okay.
Yeah. So this is. It wasn't. I didn't just smoke some crack right before I things actually connect. I usually save the crack for after the streams.
Right. Of course. So I'm at 188,000 minutes, so I need about another 20,000 minutes in order to qualify for monetization. So
let me bring up.
It really screamed up, didn't it? I mean, in the last couple days, it went from 100,000 to 188. So like,
oh wow,
right? So
let
like
me grab the
80,000
link
minutes,
and tweet it out. Yeah, man, the Lone Star Squadron, man, is loyal to you. You get
Lone Star Squadron in the house.
It's great.
Everybody shout out Lone Star Squadron and your squadron number. The number of your if you remember the number you were when you pitched in on the Indiegogo, shout out your squadron number and Lone Star Squadron. Give yourself a nickname while you're at it. Ooh, that'd be a good thing. Like on the dog tags, everybody has their squadron number and their nickname.
Oh wow. Yeah, before you promise that out, though, you better check and see what that costs. All you want to tell, when people were thinking out loud, I'm like, oh man, please check how much this is going to cost.
Yeah, but I got a lot of great ideas from these guys. They're on top of it, man.
Yeah, no, they are. They are. Oh, I had this wonderful experience to share with you today.
Yeah.
So I got a message from a kid in Comicscape. I'm not going to say his name. And I call him a kid, but he's a young adult. He's getting married. They're going to get married in Maui, and then come have their honeymoon here in Honolulu. And he said, "Hey, you don't know me, but can you tell me what I should do and stuff?" Yeah, absolutely. So when he comes, we're gonna maybe take him out for coffee and something sweet, and we're gonna try and help him and his fiance. I guess it'll be his wife when we get to meet her finally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna help them plan their vacation and then take them out for coffee. But I think they're gonna be here after. I think they're going to be here after you publish Lone Star, so I'm going to get an extra copy of Lone Star and maybe have you personalize something for them, so I can hand that to them when we meet them.
Nice. So, do you ever go? What's that mall called in Honolulu? The big one.
ALOHA Mall.
Yeah, the international. Is it?
Oh no, the international marketplace.
International marketplace.
Talking about?
Yeah,
the international marketplace has been torn down and like remodeled and stuff.
Into the Ala Moana?
Well, Ala Moana Mall is separate. Now, Ala Moana Mall is the one that has like all the upscale stores. So if you want to
so because I'm thinking about underneath the Ala Moana Mall, I think it's the Ala Moana Mall. In the parking lot, there's a Japanese like village. Have you been there?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh man, that place has like some of the best freaking food. I mean,
yeah, I think I'm like what you're talking about is Shirakiwa.
Yeah. I'm like a full-on freaking ramen snob. I mean, there's like a dozen ramen restaurants in San Diego, and I only like one of them.
I'm telling you, man, I'm hoping this year is big for you, so you can fit in a trip to Hawaii and do one of these Comic-Cons out here.
Yeah, well, the cons are rolling up right after San Diego. They're both in August. One's on my birthday. One's permanently on my birthday. My birthday weekend. So maybe next year.
If worse comes to worse, maybe me and my wife will try and come visit San Diego next year, and I will come hawk some Blacklist Universe stuff. See if we can melt some faces.
Nice.
You think they would throw us out if we set up like a PA system? I'll straight up do Lone Star. I'll straight up do Lone Star performance like right there.
They always have the guys with the Jesus signs outside with the microphone. People
like the Westboro Baptist Church type of folks. Or?
No, because they're not full of hate like those guys.
Okay.
It's just like signs that say Jesus died for your sins, but they're sitting there and there's on their little loudspeakers and stuff and.
He's practicing for the vaudeville show. You've got somebody doing the Charleston right behind you. All right, he's got the moves like Jagger.
Yeah, but those guys are always out there, and it's funny because I walk by with the crowd, and I'm always listening to the crowd's reactions, and it's all, it's all negative. They're like turning people away, and I honestly don't know. I don't know what good it does. I mean, maybe once in a blue moon they'll reach somebody, but it's almost always negative because I mean I've walked past them 100 times listening, listening to what people are saying, and I don't think that's the message.
All right. Well, so if you read the Apostle Paul, and guys, sorry for the, but not really sorry for talking about the Bible.
This is the Aloha hour. This is our time.
If you read the Apostle Paul, though, he straight up tells you he's like Billy Mays Hayes, right? He says, I am all things to all people. I am going to be Joe Suzu. Wherever you're at, I'm going to bring the gospel to you and present it in a way to you, in a way
that
to these people that they can hear it. Yeah. And that's the thing.
Yeah, I just that's not how people are going to hear it. I mean, I God bless them for trying, but I don't know how much. If they just sat there with the signs, and spoke to people when they were at this, because they stop, right? And if they're like, oh hi, what, blah blah blah, what's your name, blah, blah, and just got to know people because that's what it's about, and then like hand them a Bible or a pamphlet or whatever it is. That's one thing, but loudspeakers shouting at people, telling them, they have to repent or they're going to hell.
Yeah. Well, you've got to give people an example, like they could see themselves becoming.
I can join you, and then I can be this jerk.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like very few people can see themselves shouting at strangers on a street corner.
Right.
Because I mean, you're essentially, you're giving the example of homeless Joe. I don't know. Maybe they reach somebody, but my fear is for every person they reach, how many people do they turn away?
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So my take is I try and be somebody that you might want to emulate. You know what I mean? Or present a positive image of a Christian.
Somebody you want to know and who you would want to fellowship with.
Yeah. And not that I'm perfect or even good, right? I don't even think I'm good. I mean, I lose my temper like everybody else.
No, but when you boil it down, faith in the God of the Bible is about relationship. And so if you can't emulate that and be capable of having a relationship with someone rather than just shouting at them, condemning them, it's all about relationship. Love your neighbor is a commandment to have a relationship. Love the Lord is a commandment to have a relationship with God. And upon these two, all of the law and prophets are written.
Yeah. Exactly. And even if you look at the different examples of ministry, Christ was ministering first, right? First to faithful and observant Jewish people, so they were kind of primed, and he was talking to them in such a way that they could understand. And then when the later apostles came, most of them spent most of their lives still ministering to the Jewish people, and then you see an expansion. And when you have the Pentecost, there's signs and works and stuff to bring it to people, and so that they can see that this is something they want to be a part of.
Right.
But there are examples in the Old Testament of the prophets, doing this kind of proclamation stuff, but they're trying to give a warning, and it's a little bit different. But we're not there yet, right? We're not under the law anymore.
Right.
And
it was it was a totally different dispensation. You
Yeah.
know, I always like to point out that like God as the triune Godhead, right? One part, maybe two for a very, very short amount of time, but it's always only one part of the Godhead visiting at a time, right?
Yeah.
It's God the Father, perhaps in the garden, right? Perhaps.
Yeah. A manifestation.
Right. Then it's God the Son in that dispensation of that amount of time when he had to fulfill his duty. And after he says, I have to leave so that the Holy Spirit can come.
The Comforter.
Like we can't be here at the same time, right? Two of us got to be minding the store. Right? So yeah, it's when you had God speaking and working through the prophets. That was a totally different situation, totally different dispensation from the Holy Spirit in it living within the church now.
No, it was. And it was, it is a manifestation of God's purpose, but it was a different covenant.
Yep.
But what did Paul say? He said, now we see through
glass dimly. Or darkly.
Darkly. Yeah. And so it's by your own cognition. And we're vessels, right? We're vessels. And we are finite vessels. And it is simply impossible for us to contain everything that is within God. It's not possible. And so we know a portion.
Yeah. I like to make the example of like I just was mentioning the triune nature of God, and people I get into this with people of different denominations or different religions who call themselves Christian, who don't understand the triune nature of God, and how they try to say, well, you can't have one be three. And I'm always like, you have okay, there's science and Nachmanides, who studied the Bible like in the 10th century or something, discovered both independently of each other that there are 10 or 11 dimensions, right? Science did it through math. Nachmanides did it through a study of Genesis. But knowing that, like we can observe 3 dimensions, and we can measure a 4th, time, but the 5th through 10th or 5th through 11th are inapplicable to our physical lives, right? So if you're saying that 1 can't be 3, the way you can wrap your head around that is by taking a step back 1 dimension. Consider being a 2-dimensional being, right? And you see something with 3 sides, and you see something with 1 side, right? Now, in 2 dimensions, 1 cannot be 3. But if you add a 3rd dimension, it becomes, this is a very bad example, but, it's a cone. So a cone from one side is a triangle, and from another side is a circle. So you have to understand that there's more to reality than just what we're capable of observing. And God exists so far above even, I mean, he probably created all of the dimensions and doesn't live within any of them. So it's like an ant trying to understand how the space shuttle works,
The thing I was pondering when we were sitting in church, because they were reading a verse, and what was it? God is patient, but not as we understand patience. I'm paraphrasing. I'd have to go look it up. Might have been in Galatians, or God is long suffering. I forget what it was. But I was thinking, God being omnipotent, all-knowing, and unchanging. My sensation is that God has all knowledge simultaneously. So at every second that ever was and ever will be, God is fully present within everything. So everything has already happened to God. And he's in every second that ever was and will be.
Right.
And it's, yeah, he's
because
outside time.
He's outside of his creation, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Time is a physical property of the time-space dimension.
Yes, it's a derivative. It's a derivative of, yeah. And and then the lowbrow answer, we're looking at Mike Miller right here. And Mike Miller is the leader of the Lone Star Squadron, right? A comic book artist, a father, a brother, a son, all simultaneously, and sometimes other things.
Right.
But it's all different manifestations of the same entity.
Yeah, it's facets.
Yes.
That's right. I'm not a different person, but a different role to the different relationships that subsume my life.
Yeah.
It's a good way to put it. It's a good way to think. I never even thought about it that way. Good. You learned me something.
Oh no! We're somebody's sad because he had actually came in to do some crap posting, and we were having a deep conversation. We're sorry, Jorge. We didn't mean to deprive you of your fun.
We could get back to talking about Doctor Who.
I had to nope out of that. It was one of the newer series, and I guess like the moon was like a baby or something, and they were talking about aborting it, and I was like, "What? No, I'm done. I'm done."
There are different writers, so yeah. Some of the episodes that episode was dumb. Some of the episodes are just dumb. But some of the episodes are just so great, that it's kind of like you'll suffer through the dumb to get to the great. I mean, there was a few seasons ago, it was practically the whole season. I was like, please let this end.
No, the one we did like, there was had the ginger girl. And what was her boyfriend's name? Rory or something like
Amy
that?
And Rory.
Oh, Amy Pond.
Amy Pond and Rory.
Amy
And then Rory became like the Centurion or something, and there was a story with that.
That was a great story arc.
Yeah, now that was a good story. Was a good story.
Yeah.
Little bit of placation to female vanity, but you know what? If you're making major media and you don't appeal to female vanity, you're probably going to fail anyway.
Yeah, that was the destruction of the entire universe because of the TARDIS. Spoilers to anybody who hasn't watched that season, but yeah, that was a really, really good season. I dug that one a lot.
But your kids do pretty good, for being the age they are. They actually do pretty good for keeping their voices down. Are they all playing games and such, or?
That's because I have a stick over here. I just beat them with when they start talking too much, and like, then they're unconscious for a few minutes. Yeah, it's really quiet. There's people like, oh my gosh, he hits them with a stick. I don't hit my kids with a stick. Jeez. I've got a friend on Facebook who gets so triggered whenever I mention that I spank my kids. He's like, you hit your kids? I'm like,
only with this tire iron.
And only across the shins.
Hey, you there in the back. Blink twice if you're in. Go get Daddy's tire.
Go get Daddy's tire. Go get Daddy's ball and chain.
No, they seem like good kids, though. People love this stuff too. So when somebody like makes some noise or comes in behind you, it's great. It's just Miller family theater.
I have some great kids. Yeah, they are great kids. I gotta brag.
But we do have to do the Miller family Christmas special. I'm not joking about that. We got to make that happen.
I'll do something. I'm sure I'll figure something out by that time. I'm sure Micah will be up for tap dancing or something. Although as I watched, like, whenever I click off, there's something on the YouTube that says, "Are there minors in your thing?" There are, you know, workers policies, blah blah blah, about, you know, minors on YouTube because of because they pay, and you know, you're not kids aren't kids have to have work permits to work and stuff like that. It's like, well, I haven't gotten paid anything yet, so I'm not going to worry about it.
But you another couple days here, you should be sent once it can process.
Oh my gosh, I shot up so much yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if by tomorrow, it goes in for review. But you know, Mitch has been in for review for a while, so I don't know how long that's going to take.
Right.
So, but that should be nice. Getting another actual stream of income in my life would be very well wanted, very nicely wanted. Yeah, I was like, it's already mid-July, and I was waiting for my royalty check from DC to come in, and I contacted the guy over DC, and he's like, "Oh yeah, cross your fingers. I think it's next week." I'm like, "Dude, it's July. They're supposed to be here in June. What is going on?"
Are they quarterly checks? Or?
Yeah, they're quarterly. So it's supposed to be, yeah. So it's supposed to be like December, March, June, and
so
it's late.
Without getting too specific or anything, which title generates the most royalties for you at this point? Is it the Injustice work? Or?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when when I was doing or the Hedge Knight books, I had a really good royalty deal with the Hedge Knight books,
right.
And so when they were republished on Amazon through Jet City, George made it so that he got paid everything, and then that he would pay me my royalties. So it was great because every quarter I would get not just checks from George, but he would always write like a note on his personal stationery to me, right? And I'm like, you know, in 50 years, this is going to be like someone having a J.R.R. Tolkien personal notes.
Yeah.
And so I have, like, I don't know, enough of them to give at least one to each of my kids for,
cool.
But it's just really neat, you know, and they're all in his letterhead and everything. So it's cool. I don't know if you watched Game of Thrones, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we haven't kept up with it once they. All right, and so, man, I don't want to spoil it for anybody though.
They're not going to watch it. They're not going to watch it.
All right, well, man, when they had the blonde lady, kind of, you get the appearance that the Hound is dead. Yeah, that hurt me some because the Hound was my last remaining kind of.
Yeah.
Because I need like legitimately. I need characters I can sympathize with and empathize with and cheer for and say, yes, this person has some noble qualities.
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny because he's a beast.
Yeah.
But that's George's thing is so George starts when you're reading the books, I mean, you don't hate Jamie in the show the way you freaking hate him in the books. I mean, you just really despise the living hell out of Jamie Lannister in the books until in book 3, I think, George starts writing the chapters from Jamie's perspective. Right? And then you get this whole different perspective. All of these rumors and all of these accusations and things that he's done, but I mean, and legitimately he did them, but they weren't given context. They were just given you know, told from the perspective of people who disliked him, right? And that's all you got for the first 2 books. And then he totally flips the switch on you. And by the time you're done reading that book with all the Jamie, he's your favorite guy. and George is really good at that, just like flipping the script on characters. There's the same thing with Sandor Clegane. Sandor Clegane, you hated. The only little soft spot he had was for Sansa, right? But then by the time he is killed by Brienne, quote, killed by Brienne, you're like, oh no. You're like
Let me ask you a question, because I haven't read all the books. There's a scene in the show where they demote, or they tried to demote, this one gray-haired knight. And boy, that is one of my favorite scenes. Because he's like, even now I would cut through the 4 of you like a man cuts through cake. And then, you know, he's like stripping off his armor and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, old man. You know, don't you whack up these punks. I love that scene so much. If I couldn't be myself, I'd either want to be that dude or be the Hound. And it's like a toss-up.
And you don't know his name, huh?
I can't remember. Is it Selmy? Selmy?
It's Barristan Selmy. Yeah.
Yeah, Barristan Selmy. Yeah, I love that scene. I probably watched that scene like 10 times. Every now and then I'll watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's great. That's a funny thing though, because my wife will watch the shows, and she like most people, she knows about 6 people's names, right? But there's like 400 characters, and it's like only us nerdy book readers like, oh yeah, that's Barristan Selmy. That's oh, that's Podrick Payne. Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah, but I think in the book they go more into his background, but he's like a force of nature, yeah.
Yeah. That scene where he's hanging out with Robert and Jamie, and they're kind of talking about the good old days and how Jamie like really admires like he's like Barristan Selmy's like the legend of the Night's Watch or the King's Guard. Not the Night's Watch, the King's Guard. Yeah, that a scene like that is in the books, but yeah, Selmy was considered one of the best. Him, what's it? The Sword of the Morning, Gerald Dane, which is the guy that I don't know if you didn't see the latest episodes, huh?
Is that the one? Is that the one where Ned had told the story about how they beat him, but then the real story involved a little bit of backstabbing? Or am I confusing that?
I think you're probably on the right track, but something along those lines. Yeah, it was called the Tower of Joy incident.
Yeah. That's the one. I didn't see all that season, but I remembered going to watch that particular scene.
Yeah. And that was weird because in the book there's 3 of them. There's Gerald Hightower, Barristan Selmy, and Sir Arthur. Not Barristan Selmy. There's Gerald Hightower, Arthur Dane. Who's the third one? What's his face's dad? You remember the little kids from the like Mira and Jojen Reed? Mira and Jojen Reed were the kids that took Brandon north of the wall.
Yeah.
Well, their dad, I can't remember his first name, but he was he was with Ned, and he was the only one that survived. So it was Ned and Reed and 5 other guys went up against these 3 Kingsguard.
Yeah.
And yeah, the three of them killed all but Ned and Reed. So,
at the Tower of Joy. Yeah, they were kind of right bad dudes.
I can't remember the 3rd Knight's Guard or King's Guard.
I can't either.
Whatever. But yeah, it's funny because in the books, that whole thing is a fan theory that everybody agreed had to be true. But then it was the show that actually put the nail in it, about John's heritage. Do you not know that? You know?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know.
Okay, I won't say anything.
But man, I rarely have any chance to watch TV.
Howlin' Reed. Thank you, Finger of Scorn. Howlin' Reed, yes.
Howlin' Reed.
Do you remember, Scorn, do you remember who the third Kingsguard was? Hightower and gosh, now I forgot the other one. Sword of the Morning.
Sword of the Morning. Yeah. Was it that was
he was
that
called
wasn't Dane? Dane?
Arthur Dane. Arthur Dane. Yeah.
Arthur Dane.
And then there was a third one. I can't remember.
But yeah, and I didn't watch a whole lot of that season, but I watched that.
Hold on a second. Let me check.
But that particular scene, yeah, because you can see like the fear in the well, you know, it's the character, but the fear in Ned Stark's eyes as they realize they're essentially riding a tiger.
Yeah.
Because they make that character seem so lethal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Arthur Dane, the Sword of the Morning. And you know what? That's another thing I didn't like in the comics. Arthur Dane holds a sword called what is the name of the sword? Scorn. What's the name of Arthur Dane's sword? Come on, bring it up.
That's why we have Google.
I should know this. Oh my goodness.
I'm not even trying to pretend.
Yeah.
Arthur Dane's sword. Oh, I guess this is a fairly common question. All right, so he bore the title of the Sword of the Morning.
Yep.
Well, hang on, don't let him that. Don't do that. I don't want to blow everybody up with some nonsense.
This better not be porn.
Oh, the name of the sword is Dawn.
Dawn, right,
which
right.
had been forged from the metal of a fallen star.
Right, and it glowed, right? Now, what other sword in the Game of Thrones mythos glows?
What other sword glows? Well, see, one of the Brotherhood guys can light a sword on fire.
Ah, yeah, but that's fire.
What else glows? Does Jaime's sword glow? No.
Think further north.
Further north. Does Ned's sword glow? No. Shoot. Somebody in chat help me out here because I'm trying. Sierra Whiskey says steam.
You're mixing up your mythos, brother. No, Lightbringer, the sword that Stannis. Remember Melisandre? I don't know if you saw that season. Melisandre makes this sword glow through sorcery, right? Lightbringer. But in the books, it's fairly clear that that's a false method. It's not. The sword is supposed to glow. Lightbringer is supposed to glow of its own.
Right.
Right. And so the fan theory is always that it is Dawn. Now, John wet nursed with Arthur Dane's kid, and Arthur Dane's kid got Dawn, but it hasn't been
it hasn't made a reappearance.
Yeah, it hasn't made a reappearance. So that's one of the fan theories that, you know, he's somehow or another, Dawn is going to end up in the hands of Jon Snow, and he is the prince who, how do they call it? The prince who, whatever. He's the one they're looking for.
The hidden prince, no. The prince beyond the wall, the prince beyond the gate, no.
The prince who was promised. The prince who was
promised.
Yeah.
Man. So wait, no royalty checks from.
Yeah. So it'll come next week after San Diego when I need it. Well, I'll still take it, but
you know, this hurts my heart a little bit because I want to go back and read some of that Injustice. I've read a couple. I think I own a couple full-blown comicsology, and I want to read some now. But
Yeah.
Tom Taylor, now that I've had my kerfuffle with Tom Taylor, I'm going to be looking for like hidden.
Well, they kept him on a fairly tight leash. I know that he took advantage of like, there's lesbian characters in the DC universe, and so he would do what he can to make issue of that, not issue, but like play up the pain of loss of that relationship, because one of the characters dies who's in the relationship, and then the other one is like, goes mad with grief, basically. But I mean, characters die all the time in that book, so
yeah,
lots of grief.
But that was Injustice for DC was just a huge series in general, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because nobody expected it to be, because I had just done DC Universe Online Legends. You do the Batman Arkham books, you do all the video game tie-in books with DC, and it's always just an also ran, right? It's something you have to do because the game's out, and you have to get Mike Miller to draw it because whatever. It was fun to draw because it was like an alternate universe DC comic, DC JLA universe thing. But it was never expected to be, as good as it was. And it got so many reviews. Hush, but it got so many reviews. Listen to me, boy. I make you go to bed. Hey, it's midnight. Go to bed. What are you doing?
Now, you guys homeschool. How does that work during the summer? Do you guys do y'all give your kids a summer break, or is it like?
We've been making them do a little bit of math, but not a whole lot. And we make them do push-ups. So,
what curriculum are y'all using for math? Are y'all using Khan Academy at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Anybody, and this has nothing to do with nothing, but if you're in school or you're going to go back to school or you just want to brush up on your math, Khan Academy is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. You can learn almost anything online nowadays. There's practically no need for school at all.
Well, now I finished up my college online. I went through, it's called Western Governors University, right?
Mm.
And so I had enough credits for, I don't know, an associate's plus, right? But I got out of the Army and I just started working. I mean, I've been working pretty much since I've been 15, kind of nonstop. And I had wanted to finish up college, but it just, I started going to, when I got here to Hawaii, I started going, taking classes at night, but it was just going to take forever.
Yeah.
So I went through WGU. I've got a business degree. It's a business hybrid IT degree, but it's really more of like a financial analysis degree, which has been kind of helpful. But the cool thing with WGU is every 6 months the tuition is the tuition was $3,000. It is completely. Well, I'm hearing myself.
Are you okay?
I am.
Is that echoing?
Yeah, that's echoing.
Okay.
And it could just be a YouTube artifact. It may not be that.
Okay. All right, go.
Okay, so I got this degree. So WGU, completely regionally accredited. So it's not like a top tier college or anything like that, but it's reasonably good and it's fully accredited. Yeah. Completely asynchronous. You pay $3,000 every 6 months. You can finish courses as fast as you can finish them. So I crammed in 3 years of college into 1 year. And so my bachelor's degree wound up costing me a little bit over $6,000. But I mean, I worked my butt off. I did 100 semester hours in a year. It was kind of nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But you know, yeah, as far as like homeschooling, it's when and you know what, you kind of saw it with the bachelor's degree, what you just did, right? You could do all the work, and granted, you get more work in college, but still, you could do more work than the time allotted you,
yeah,
or the schedule allotted you, right?
Yeah,
It's dude, you know how much time kids waste in school?
Oh, when you eat up, you probably eat up at least an hour just moving around the school, right?
It's no, I mean the kids will sit down and homeschool, and they'll get all their work done, depending on the kid. Not this one. This one will be here for 8 hours. But the other kids, they'll get through their work in an hour and a half. Like all the work for their entire day, which is the amount of work they would do at school. So the rest of the time at school, they're either playing or, you know, social. Not nothing wrong with socializing, but basically you're paying somebody or you're not paying somebody if you're in public school.
Yeah.
You're just letting somebody else babysit your kid for 8 hours a day. And frankly, I'd rather be here, and I'd rather them be here. Because it's funny, I always hear from, you know, and you've heard it a billion times in your life, you know, oh, they grow up so fast. You know how they grow up fast is because you're at work 16 hours a day. You come home from work, you see your kids for about 2 hours or an hour and a half before they have to go to bed. So you're catching about 1/10, 1/20th of their lifespan as you're busy.
Yeah.
And yes, it flies by because you never see them. When you're homeschooling your kids, boy, 17 years feels like 17 years.
I feel like 34 years. It's like dog years. I was going to say some of the kids were kind of some of the church kids at our church were kind of homeschooled at the church, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. They go to like 1 day a week to a homeschool at a church, and so they have classes and intermingling and all that kind of fun stuff. So.
And I miss one of these kids because he was he had some minor learning disabilities, yeah. And so homeschool was really good for him because he's like a big kid, but he would get bullied and he didn't have like an intermediate setting, right? He could defend himself, but it would be like way over the top. So he would get bullied and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I spent about 6 months with him working on his math and getting him caught up, and I really enjoyed that. I almost became a teacher. I don't really like avowal poverty, and everything is just so overrun and inundated with leftism and all this stuff. I don't know if I could do it without getting myself in trouble, even if I could figure out how to make it work cost wise. I don't know if I could contain myself, Mike.
Yeah. Well, pray. Falling into destiny is falling asleep, apparently.
Oh no! We're sorry. We're sorry. Yeah, I guess this is
we're
this is definitely too much. You know, this is definitely comics dad chat.
Yeah. I saw something somebody mentioned earlier that I wanted to comment on. Lego Ghost. I think it was just overhyped for Capaldi. There was some great parts, but it just felt so weak compared to 9, 10, and 11 stories. That wasn't the one, but somebody mentioned Capaldi, and I have to say, did you watch any of the Capaldi ones? I think.
Yeah, the Anthony Bourdain doctor. Yeah, we saw.
Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't like him the first season, but it was because I was so used to Matt Smith. You know, you have to get that you have to change. It's like really changing gears, especially when you're going from, you know, Matt Smith and all this stuff to it's about the eyebrows. It's my eyebrows. You know, that guy. But wow, he was such a fantastic doctor, but he had such bad material to work with. It was, I don't know, it was heartbreaking because like his last season, it was the one I was talking about. There were probably 3 good episodes like in the whole season. right? And the last one, the Christmas episode, was fantastic. But yeah, he was such a great actor, or he is such a great actor, and I think he was so great for the role, but they just gave him tripe to work with, and it was kind of heartbreaking.
All right. So out of David Tennant and Matt Smith, which would you pick if you could only have one?
Tennant, without
Tennant.
question. Yeah.
Yeah. We're the same way. I feel like, yeah, Capaldi, if he had been alive and at that point in his career, like 30 years ago, he would have been, they probably could have wrote that correctly.
No, I liked that he was older because that played back to a lot of the older doctors.
Oh no, I don't mean him 30. I don't mean him being 30 years younger. I mean,
you mean him playing like
if they had written that in the 70s or 80s.
Oh, like sort of Tom Baker era.
They could have
like,
wrote it correctly.
Right. Yeah. You know, I really think that like going back and watching the Tom Baker episodes, which I did to quite a few as many as I could. My daughter loves Doctor Who, so she'd sit down and watch the old episodes with me. It's fun.
Oh, we just got scolded in the chat. We just got told that Jorge Vicente has told us that we have pronounced Christopher Eccleston wrong. So we acknowledge our scolding, Jorge.
That's how you pronounce it.
No. He's saying when I said pick between Tennant or Matt Smith, he's saying that Christopher Eccleston.
That was a huge disappointment that Eccleston only stuck around for one season because I thought he was great. But
yeah, he
then
was
we
a
got
different type of doctor. He was more like, let's have a bar fight kind of doctor.
Yeah. I've been a fan of Eccleston since Shallow Grave. You ever see that?
Shallow Grave.
Shallow Grave is Christopher Eccleston, Ewan McGregor, and some other gal. And it's a movie about these three people: Eccleston, McGregor, and this gal who one of their roommates moves out, and so they're looking for a new flatmate. And so they finally pick this one guy. He moves in, he closes his door, he locks his door, and they never hear from him. And they finally bust his door open, and he's dead. And there is a suitcase full of money.
Oh.
Hijinks ensue. You should watch it. It's great. Eccleston is, I mean, he was so young, but he was so fantastic. And Ewan McGregor, I think it might have been before Trainspotting. I'm not sure, but it was around the same time as Trainspotting.
Really young then.
Yeah. And oh, it's such a great movie. It kind of makes me want to watch it right now. The bar fight doctor.
Yeah. Check it out. Yeah. But I don't think there had ever been a bar fight doctor before. You get these eccentric grandpas and uncles, but you had never had that kind of.
Hey, let me give you this comparison. Okay. All right, you're reading the Bible.
Okay.
You get to Maccabees, or not Maccabees, Malachi.
Malachi.
Right?
Okay.
You ever get to Malachi and you read it and you're like, God's really mad. And then that's the last book of the Old Testament.
God is mad.
400 years of silence. Right? And then Jesus. Right? So that's like the old Doctor Who, right? And then you get the Time War, which we don't.
Yeah.
Right? And then Eccleston is the Doctor after the Time War, and he's just livid.
Oh yeah,
right?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Right. So that's why he's like,
yeah.
You don't know what a Dalek is? They're the most evil creatures ever created. That's Scottish. That's not Eccleston.
When I was a kid watching the old ones, Davros.
Exterminate! Yeah. Somebody did it.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, watching the old ones with Davos when he created the Daleks and stuff. I just watched that one like a couple years ago. Yeah. Gosh. It was great. I mean, it was such cheesy effects and stuff back then, but man, it was just great. I loved it.
Yeah, and being like a kid in little Podunk, North Carolina, and coming home and watching this stuff, it was fantastic.
Yeah. Did you watch the Monkeys?
Like, hey, we're the Monkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the Monkeys. I didn't realize there was only like 1 or 2 seasons because I didn't watch them over them. Yeah. I actually saw them live.
Oh yeah, how'd they hold up? Were they good performers?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, Davy Jones was there, Peter Tosh was there, and Davy, Peter, and Mike was not there. Who am I forgetting? Mickey Dolenz.
Mickey Dolenz.
So it was those 3. I don't know what Mike Nesmith was doing, but yeah, I still have the T-shirt, and it's way too small for me because I was in middle school when I went to see him.
Yeah, I hope that's too small
like
for you.
I got my Kailua shirt on. Yeah, my daughter used to wear it until she outgrew it. Let's see. Okay, Sierra Whiskey asked 2 questions. What's the best ramen in San Diego? The best ramen that I've been to, and granted, there's one other place that I have not tried because every time I go there, they're busy and sold out. But they make handmade noodles. I think it's called Ultra Ramen, but I could be wrong. But Santoku, if you go to Mitsuwa off of, so you got, it's right off the 163, and what is the name of that street? You know, in the Convoy area, Convoy and Balboa and 163, they all kind of cross and intersect over there. Go to the Mitsuwa shopping center. Not shopping center, it's a grocery store, right? And there's a little ramen shop in there called Santoku. And that is the best ramen that I've had in San Diego. And second, got Lone Star Early Bird. Can you tell me what the metal plates are? They are cover-sized brushed aluminum plates. So they're going to look really sick. You're going to really dig them, and you can hang them on your wall and tell all your friends to support the next Lone Star.
You know what I like better than ramen, though?
Hmm.
I like to get oyakudon and hot soba noodles in broth.
Hot soba, really?
Yeah, not cold. I don't dig cold soba, but like hot soba in broth.
Like
I love
the buckwheat ones or the white ones?
Yeah. No, the buckwheat ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're good hot, but I love cold noodles. Cold noodles is like.
Well, I mean that's normally how people eat soba is cold, yeah. But yeah. Yeah, my wife tells me I'm a little bit weird anyway, though. So. But a yakudon, yakudon and some hot soba noodles and some broth. That's good.
Yeah, you go to that place in under Ala Moana?
Yeah, we go to that place. We go to a couple more. Man, there's so many places here in Hawaii. I told people this before. We have a plurality here. Almost between Koreans and Japanese, that's probably like, I don't know, like 40% of the population.
Really? Yeah, I feel at home there.
Well, I mean, there's so many Hapa folks here too. You know, so much mixed plate. Yeah.
It's where we bring them in and mix them up in a little pot.
Yeah. So, are you ready? What have you got left for your convention prep, man?
Well, I went to the banner store today, and the guy said that he needed a color for his printer, so he's going to call me at 10 o'clock in the morning and tell me if he can print it by tomorrow. And I was like, dude, just freaking tell me you can't do it so I can go find someplace else to do it.
Right.
And so that's good. My other medals are still stuck in Vegas, but the gal who was doing my larger medal prints for, I have another person selling my prints, the comic book store here. I had her double the order, and so they should get here by Wednesday, hopefully. If not, I can take some of the first order and just sell those at my booth, and then just replace them for the other. But yeah, fun. So, and then my regular prints and my cards, he said he could take care of them, and I can just pay him after the show. So should be good. Except I don't have money to pay for the actual booth, so I'll figure that out. The Lord will provide.
Well, hopefully that royalty check will come in tomorrow. That'd be nice.
No, that's not coming in until next week.
And if the monetization doesn't kick in quick, I know some people do like a PayPal tip jar, and there's some other things that can be done.
Well, I mean, I think anybody who wants to help out would just buy some of my prints. So
you're gonna close your campaign when? When does it convert to a store?
In 27 days.
In 27 days. Okay. That's not that far out.
Yeah, no, I mean it's funny because I've been treading water for like 4 months.
Oh wow.
Because the con season, I mean, it's like I'll have a con and I'll make a decent amount of money, but none of the cons this year have been as good as last year. It's like I think we peaked last year, and I think we might be heading down a slope convention wise.
Why? Well, you think people are staying away from conventions, or
I think it's fatigue. I think Avengers came out, and that felt like the climax of the whole comic pop culture thing, right? Not that the balloon has popped per se, but just that it's people have sort of relaxed about it, and they're not, the juice ain't there. We'll see after this show. Last year was my best San Diego and my best con ever. So if this con measures up, then maybe I'm just, maybe I just had a few bad shows.
Right.
But what I was saying is, yeah, I'd get home and all that money would go to bills. I'd save some aside because I'm like, well, I got to eat until the next con or whatever. But, bills add up. And then, oh, great, my transmission freaking breaks in my van. My kid breaks my TV. All the little things, not that those are little things, but all the, when you're living your life and you're getting paid a salary or whatever, and you have a little bit of money on the side, and then, oh, we need a new coffee maker, or oh, the table leg broke, or blah blah. All these little things, they're just sort of incidental. But when you're like, yeah, I could do that, but I think it's better if we have cash for groceries for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Let's prioritize eating. And it's really nice that last year I installed solar.
Oh, well, that's
and
something else.
So they took it was like a lease plan, but they put the so what it was is a company put a lien on my house, and then through the lien they got the funding. They used the funding to pay the solar company. It's like this whole switch them around. But now all that it is that the escrow on my bank account went up like $256 or $264, something like that. So I haven't paid my electric bill since then. And it like sort of every month it either adds or it subtracts a little bit here and there, and then it'll come due because every month I'm either producing too much electricity, so I get a credit, or I'm using too much, and so I get a debit. And so it's like I don't have to pay my electric bill at all until like through this whole time, which is great because it's summer, and freaking last summer I had like $800 electricity bills in the summer. Yeah.
Wow.
So
it's a grid tight system where it feeds back in.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, if the power went down though, with some of those grid type systems, can you cut it off the grid so like your house still has power, or are you out of luck if the grid goes down?
I would hope I have power. I'm not sure. The problem is in San Diego, you're not allowed to not be on the grid.
Right.
So I could, you know, I could get batteries and stuff, but I wouldn't be allowed legally to disconnect.
From the grid. Yeah, you got to be on. Yeah. I just know with some of those grid tied systems. So what happens is when the grid goes down, so does your system, just because of the way it's set up. Yeah.
Mm.
But your system may not be like that. And then you guys got like a couple of generations living in your house too, right? You've got you and your wife and your kids, and then you've got some of your siblings there.
No. My brother used to live with us till I kicked him out, and then and then my mom kicked him out, and then he moved back to Hawaii. So he's there with you. You can have him. No, I love my brother. We just we've come to blows. So,
oh, yeah.
Or at least he tried to hit me.
You didn't hurt his feelings, did you, Mike?
I hurt his face, but not his feet.
Oh no.
No. Well, we were out on the tar that, you know, like we don't have cement driveway. We have like tar, or what's that called? The blacktop. Asphalt. And so I just subdued him, but I subdued him a little hard with his face on the asphalt, and it kind of rubbed him the wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't like hitting people. I mean, unless it's out of fun, you know, not intending to hurt anybody. So
that's what I say about pistol whipping.
What do you say? You don't like hurting them, except to pistol whip them?
I don't like. Yeah. You only pistol whip somebody for fun.
Stout says he's been through the same situation with his brother. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to hit your brother, of all people, right? But yeah, he was loopy, man. He's his ex-wife would send him these pills from Japan that he did not have a prescription for, and he was like self-medicating, and just what it was is he when he lived here, he was growing pot here because it's legal to grow pot for personal consumption and whatnot. And so he had built this little thing in the garage, like a light box, whatever, to build, you know, grow pot. And then when I kicked him out, he was like, you know, livid, and he's all, oh, well, you're growing pot and you don't smoke pot, you know, that's illegal. I'm gonna call the sheriff. It's like, you're gonna call the freaking sheriff on me for having your light out thing in my house. And so I'm the kind of guy who you push me like that, I sort of retaliate. So I just went out there with a sledgehammer and I just tore the whole freaking thing down to rubble. And by the time he got back, I was sweeping the rubble, the dust from where it used to be. And he just freaked out because I told my friend, who was also, you know, he had a grower's license because he had PTSD and stuff. So I'm like, dude, take these plants and get out of, you know, go away. So not only was his growing thing gone, all of his plants were gone. I'm like, you threatened to call the police on me, which is threatening my family. So here's what I'm going to do for you.
Did you have Okie from Muskogee playing when he rolled up?
No.
We don't smoke marijuana.
Yeah, but it was funny. It was he had always, like, I don't know, he was a talker. He's a you know, threatener. Talkers
make me thirsty. That's another good scene from the from Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah. And so yeah, he just lunged at me, and then I pulled him out of the garage, and then he took a swing at me, so I subdued him.
Nice. So have you reconciled now? Is it all brotherly love, or is he holding a grudge yet?
Nah, it's fine. We saw him when we were in Hawaii, and I saw him the last couple times I was in Hawaii, and he's chill. So.
And he works construction, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll have to. Yeah. Yeah. Tweet me later on. Tweet me the company he works at, just in case I've heard of it. That would be so funny.
I have no idea. I'd have to text him, and
yeah.
I mean, I guess I could, but then what's he gonna do? Oh, can he get me a job? No.
I heard you like the wacky tobacco. Well, can he pass the drug test?
I mean, you know what? He's a trained Japanese carpenter. He spent 10 or 20 years training under like legit carpenters in Japan. And you know what that's like, right? Yeah. I don't know if you know what that's like, the system there of like teacher to student. You know, it's like if you're learning how to make sushi, right? You spend the first year washing the towels.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. that kind of a system. And so he's very highly skilled, and he is really smart. But we kind of butt heads. So.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd enjoy working with us anyway. We're all gorillas. We're just breaking stuff down.
Let's see. What's support LONESTAR? Yes, thank you, Jimmy. Your brother sounds like a Korg. What is a Korg?
I feel like I should know that.
Am I forgetting something?
What is a Korg? Falling to destiny. You gotta explain to us what a Korg is.
I know what a Corgi is. My mom used to have one. Passed away a couple years ago. That's messed up. He threatened to call the cops. Yeah, he was, like I said, he was out of his mind on those freaking stupid pills. Oh, hey, you know what? It is 12:30. I only wanted to be on here for about an hour, so
oh yeah, man.
Let's see if anybody.
Good luck with your convention prep. Are you going to be able to stream at us at all from the convention, or?
I'm gonna give it a shot. We'll see. It'll be difficult if I'm using my phone, because I use my phone to take payments.
Right.
So it's like, hey, I'm streaming. Oh, you'd like to purchase something?
And you have outlets where you'll be able to charge your phone and stuff there.
Oh, Korg is a rock character from Thor 3. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Take that, Ghost. No, peace off, Ghost.
Well, yeah. If any of the Black Star Squadron is in the California area, man, you should go see Mike. It sounds like some of the guys from Ethan's chat were going to stop by and come see you.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Any Black Star Squadron member who has their receipt on their phone, come to me at the con, and I will give you a free LONESTAR poster signed in a pretty little bag and everything. So yeah, absolutely. 10 away from 100 on the early bird special. 10 away.
Well, hang on, let me check.
Oh, really? Oh.
Before I say goodnight, let me check your total. I see $23,375. All right, so now when are you going to be done with the convention? Is it Sunday night?
Sunday night, yeah.
All right. So next week.
Actually, I think I just got another one. Did I just get another one?
Did you just get one?
Oh, no. What is that? Who is
paying? I see 368 backers.
Oh, somebody bought something off my store.
Oh, nice.
Deadpool. Yeah.
What can you see what they bought?
Cable, Back to the Future. Yeah, Deadpool cable, Back to the Future.
Nice. I wonder if it's somebody in the chat. Hey, if you're in the chat and you and you bought something from Mike's stores, speak up so we can give you a salute.
Yeah. And hey, you know what? Go look through the store. I mean, there's a lot of art on there. There's something you might like. So yeah, flip through it and see if there's anything you want. Peace off, Ghost. Yeah, it's going to start a revolution. But what was it? Ran out of flyers. That character was great.
All right, so when you get back, let's make another promo for Lone Star. Do you want to do that? Do you want to do that opening scene?
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah, let's do that. That'll be awesome.
All
right. Well, I will say good night to you, Mr. Miller.
Good night. Aloha. Mahalo.
Good night to the Lone Star Squadron. Be good, gentlemen.